doing up there, crazy? Hi friends, I owe you a look around the garden for heck's sake. Everything else in the world has been going on right now except gardening. So do you want to see a garden that's been not cared for like a month? I don't think it looks bad at all. Alright, update. It's still through a code, but I just put in coil number 1 and the code went away. Woohoo! Update. Bathroom, the foot of the tub. The side of the tub where the plumbing isn't still is just open shiplap and needs finish still. And I've been driving around to a bunch of doctors still too because my ears are still wonked. Started physical therapy for my ears. Been really scrambling at work because this is the time of year we get a ton of holiday time. It's lovely, but that means I still have to get the same amount of duties done just in less amount of time. So this garden is pretty well untouched. I don't think, oh see, look how untouched it is. Do you remember that video? I don't think I've been down the steps at all. We'll go down and just peek down the corridor, but come right back up, okay? Alright. So, the snake root is keeping all of my delicate little potted plants and cuttings safe. The snake root is also almost as tall as me, and it's getting really hard to get down there. So that's a win some, you lose some kind of moment. But that is... And then there's a whole other row down there. More steps on the other side. But we're just going to go back up here and continue taking a tour. I never did see if I ended up with mushrooms here or not. This is where I planted the Phoenix oyster mushrooms. However, I ended up getting more off of that log up here instead. All of my little cuttings are snuggled in. Best I can tell. Sorry, I'm like fighting plants to get through. The Naturalized Gojis are starting to fruit. These ones looks like they got frosted at exactly the wrong time. But these tend to fruit all winter long. The Maypop has kind of come and gone. No fruit this year, but I don't think it fruits the first year typically. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to protect my hazelnuts from the buns this winter. I do have more fencing again, so that might be the answer, but also maybe sticks, maybe, I don't know. But they chomped a lot of my hazelnuts down to the ground last year, and that was annoying. In this location, this side of the city, the raspberries seem to be done. Also looks like I missed the last few. See? But that's okay. Nearer to where I work, which is closer into the city, there's a lot more solar gain in blacktop and cement than there is here, which I think is part of why everything's so much warmer in the winter than when I was a child. But because of that, those raspberries are still going real strong. The Quailios are still in their little hutch because, yeah, apparently I'm better at failing than succeeding when it comes to caged housing, but the blueberry inside looks like it's still doing fine. The pond, I will continue working on in the spring. I don't want to freeze my fingers in water trying to get it to seal right now. So once it's warming up, that's when I'll play around with that again. It's an ongoing project. This is definitely apple scab. And I guess I'm just waiting for a lot of these apples to fall. I don't know. But apple scab is definitely the reason that the leaves fell. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to mulch this area to get that fungal sporulation underneath a layer of mulch where it'll heat and die rather than continue on next year. A lot of extra little pieces of fence here and there. I'm looking forward to seeing how that magnolia tree goes. And then I did start a bunch more magnolia tree seeds. So far, the hardy kale is looking like it's doing good. And the sea kale is looking like it went dormant. That's interesting. I would have thought the sea kale would be more hardier. By the way, this is November 28th? 2 days after Thanksgiving. So the Miyoga ginger is definitely fully dormant. And as are the beans now, and all the tomatoes. Dan's Permaculture in Florida. I never got your email. You were going to ask for these tomatoes. I'll have to bug you. Also, if you're farther south and want to know about permaculture, you got to check out that channel. If you're farther north, wild edibles. Oh, fudge. I left the door open. Well, the reason the door was open in the first place is I was relocating some bird bedding into here for soil fertility. Oh, weird. This sand cherry has decided to leaf out instead of go dormant. This one just came. Well, hopefully it'll be okay through that. Looks like the bunnies got in here and ate the leaves off the blackberry. But the blackberry isn't dormant, it's just nibbled. So I need to close that door again. And then, I don't know, hopefully that's doing okay. This one kind of looks like it needs water or something. But these are the cuttings that were tip rooted, which I have 3 or 4 more tip roots that I can transplant when I get around to it, which is God only knows when. I got a big jar of coffee. I'm moving that. This is what radishes look like if you don't touch them after you sow them way too thick. There. That's done. So these are the radishes. That's the ground cherry. Sorghum's still doing its thing up there. Yeah, a lot of these little enclosures are only because the bunnies are going after things. So, dealing with bunny tips, much appreciated, they would be. These are wild edibles, beets. She gave me a bunch of seeds. I also got a bunch of seeds from the Experimental Farm Network. I think I'm going to switch away these sticks and put in a panel or 2 of that leftover 3D printing material. My city waste is very different than what you'd find in country waste. For example, pallets, conduit, whatever the heck that is, and 3D printer leftovers, stuff like that. So I'm starting to figure out how to put those kind of things to regular use around here because I have regular, very frequently recurring access to them. Crates, those kind of things. Yeah. Just don't know if that right there, don't know if that pear lived or not, but I know it needed moved. So I guess we'll find out. It was struggling for the rest of fall. And then right beyond it, and right beyond the Black Lives Matter sign, are probably 2 different rootstock apples. Because I could dig it up and split it. I make a mistake of really not following up as much as I should. There's probably about 70 to 80 pounds of food in there, and I need to get a fermentation vessel big enough to handle it in order to get them processed correctly. The best process I've found yet with sunchokes, Jerusalem artichokes, depending on who's calling them, which is what you're looking at here, is to ferment them. They look gross while they're being fermented. And then soak them in vinegar, which can be spiced. I found that I really preferred that sweet spice. It was like cinnamon and cloves and something else. But oh my gosh, those were so good. I ate those the most. And then the like hot sauce ones, I didn't eat as much. So if that's any help, I ate them like crazy. You can also see that the last several tomatoes, really nothing happened. Can you see that in there? I did not do nothing with the last several tomatoes. And my bucket of willow is still sitting there. So, in the last month or so, I would say I've watered twice. And I looked around a bunch of times to make sure there were no major weeds. What's your best tip for actually digging things out once they get to grow and getting them potted? Anyone who's doing a nursery or doing plants for sale or prepping for that outcome, because that's my trouble, is I'm actually actively prepping for that outcome and don't really have consistent sales. I had consistent sales my first year, but then the person that was my connection to that company left the company, and I don't know what's going on with that, honestly. So the stuff seems to sell itself if I get enough people knowing about it, but I don't really have the kind of day job that allows me to participate consistently in like farmers markets and stuff, so it's difficult. I see a garlic mustard I need to dig out in there. So that's how a garden that isn't being cared for at all looks. The last month in fall, a lot of food that didn't go nowheres. Oh, these new cuttings are doing real good, it seems like. These are the Northern Bay female, tall but minimally fruiting variety. Then there's another variety I want to pick a few shoots off of that is a short female, heavily fruiting variety. They fix nitrogen, so they're nice. I can't really tell amidst all the leaves. Are the green alder even still there? Yeah, there's one. So far, so good on that. You can see my elderberry got eaten to bits, which I still find that very strange that elderberry gets eaten by deer, but it does. I think once that gets more established, it's pretty well established considering it's only a year old. Like, look at that initial stalk. That's happy there. And then I got a bunch of hazelnuts right here. These are the fully native ones, and then this one went dormant last. Yeah, these are the thornless blackberry. Oh, I'm getting poked in the head. Yeah, so the only stick that is putting off catkins is the one that keeps poking me in the head, so I want to leave it alone and see if I get nuts next year. Because that's the one that was producing nuts, but then the neighbor trimmed it because he didn't know. There's a bunch of cuttings in here theoretically too, and I should probably dig them up, pot them up, and sink them in, but then winter's coming, so maybe it's a first thing after a thaw kind of situation. I don't know. So let's go back to the cliff and just overlook the cliff and have a closing conversation. I did get most of the trash from the bathroom taken care of that I've produced so far. And I have all the information I need to take the drywall sample for asbestos testing. And the car's been troubling me, but not in ways that I can't handle myself. It's just been that I'm way too busy. Way too busy. So I hope you enjoyed this garden tour. I'm sorry that it's been less garden content and more like slightly other stuff. Oh, there's a couple people having a bonfire down at the sandbar there. That's funny. Cool. And thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye. Just a quick little follow-up. Didn't do that a moment too soon. Let's just go somewhere where there's light so I can show you. Looks like about an inch. It's midnight right now, and we have a winter wonderland in the dark. It'll probably be melted by morning. Right now I'm pretty chilly. It didn't even stick on the roads except on the bridges. Have a good one. Bye.